Pitchford Hall is where I was lucky enough to grow up. It's an absolutely wonderful example of an Elizabethan half-timbered house. I would definitely say most people would say it's the best example in the country that survived since the Otley family bought it in 1473 and then started work in 1549. It's obviously my family house as well, so I've been absolutely passionate about trying to get it back and restore it and bring it back to its former glory. And the fact that it was neglected for 25 years was, unbelievably painful episode. And now we've got the sort of phoenix from the ashes side of the story in terms of hopefully bringing it back to life and making it accessible to the public again, and this great sleeping beauty being restored and reinvigorated.
This house had no work done on it for 25 years. In the last 2 years, it's had huge amounts of restoration work that we'll see kind of going on in the Orangery in the next few months. And that brings a whole supply chain in terms of craftsmen, plumbers, carpenters, painters and decorators. So there's a huge supply chain that actually supports this house within the local kind of Shropshire community.
We've also, for example, been doing up the stable yard, so we've got people living there. We've got a heritage painter taking space. We'd love to get the forge up and running and get if you know any blacksmiths, then that would be fantastic as well. But I think, as James says, in terms of the community, whether it's people helping make cakes or do the tours or do the restoration, there's any number of ways that people are getting involved, and that's been fantastic to see.
The guided tours has probably been the main thing we've done, but over the last kind of 2 years, we've been able to think what really works for Pitchford. We title them restoration guided tours, so there's stuff to see every time. There's so much kind of work, and sometimes the craftsmen are on site so they can actually speak to the craftsmen. Then we've got events. And we've done everything from a Civil War battle with 300, 400 pikemen to a pop-up dinner, 5 nights of pop-up dinners in the Orangery. And that was one of the things that the response we got from people when they came to these pop-up dinners, done by a kind of local Shropshire chef, a forager chef, was, we don't want you to turn this into a holiday let. We want you to turn it into an event space. So we've listened to what people have told us. We changed tack, and now the Orangery will be for events, for weddings, for cultural events, for outdoor cinema. In terms of further funding, there's one thing we would have loved to do, and that was to create a cafe in the old Victorian kitchen in the hall, and I'm afraid that's not been possible. The quotes we got from builders were around about the kind of 300,000, 400,000 mark for restoring 2 rooms and putting a cafe in, and that would have enabled us to open up the house for 30, 40, 50 days a year, really however long people wanted it to be open. And our sense is, without having a cafe, really opening up the house on a kind of greater scale is problematic. And then it's just the general day-to-day restoration and bits we just have not been able to do.
Any help would be fantastic. We would absolutely love to set up one of these funds if it was tax advantageous, because the more money that comes in, the more that you can do and the more people you can attract, and it just has a very clearly be fantastically positive. So yes, of course we'd set one up. It would be a no-brainer.